Hey, welcome to the show. You are listening to the Roosic podcast. We are a roots music podcast based out of Nashville, Tennessee, where we talk to the local music scene and beyond.
Today we have Jojo Pepp. He is a songwriter, poet, and cool guy living here in Nashville.
Check it out.
It's the first place that felt like home, because I traveled my whole life, you know.
Okay.
I left home when I was 15 and just hitchhiked and got into different situations and bands and whatever. And, you know, as I hit 30, I'm like trying to figure out where I want to be at. And that was the spot. Yes. But you can't make money down there. It's
that's what it seems
people
like.
are so broke. The whole town is so broke, you know.
Yeah.
Huh.
There's the service industry and that, but
but just in terms of performing, it's not.
So my game plan is like lock in my money situation somewhere else and buy a house down there to like retreat down to.
That's probably the move. That's probably what is the scene like? What is the scene out there like? It just in terms of styles of music. I guess I have such a sort of romanticized vision in my head of what that music scene is like, but I'm sure it's got to be pretty expansive, because even Nashville is obviously, we've got a shit ton of country here, but there's so much other stuff here. There's a great jazz scene here. There's all kinds of great punk music and metal music in here.
Yeah, heck yeah.
Such a variety.
There's a great crossover, definitely, for the people that are actually like going after and getting it.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
With like Meg, let's say, you know, she'll use like New Orleans musicians and stuff, like, because there's that jazz crossover.
She was
huge.
we had her on forever ago, and she was telling us about, because I was just picking her brain about like the difference in just sort of like musical, not even necessarily musical styles or dialects of music, but just the way different musicians approach the job, because it's so. And she was saying like it's so different there to here. I mean, like just the way that Brian's going for it.
Excuse me.
That's a swallow.
Just the way that like the musicians approach sessions here is very different. The same thing's true with like New York players, you know. Like, that's such a different thing, you know.
That's something I couldn't speak on, like New York as much, but it seems like that would be, just from people I've met, that's like the more professional. There's a middle ground here in Nashville. Like the professional and like the just like jam experience feeling people. And I would say New Orleans is the opposite of like New York, where it's like...
so it's like the other extreme.
It's like the all feeling sort of thing. You can go
cool.
and you could do like the Broadway thing down there on Bourbon and Frenchman and, you know, lock in a daily or weekly gig.
Yeah.
And play covers and jazz and stuff, but definitely less professional.
Gotcha. That makes it. Yeah, that seems to track in my head. I just love that kind of music.
It's like for the love of the game down there.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
And that's where I like fit in,
Kind
for
of cool.
sure.
Yeah, keeps
That
it
is
pure.
Yeah.
When there's no money involved, it's always pure.
And that's the thing.
It sucks, but there is something.
No, it's kind of
to that.
fucking
Like,
true. I kind of like it.
Doing it for the right reasons. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it was super influential. And speaking on like the styles down there, it's definitely a little bit of everything. There's like really cool punk scene, like art punk sort of thing. Really cool.
I love that. That's one thing. I mean, there's some cool punk bands here, but like, I'm sure a lot of it is also just like, I always feel like, you kind of get trapped in your echo chambers in a way. So I'm always hyper aware of that. It's like, there's so much great stuff here, but then I know just by virtue of the people that I hang out with, the people that I know, I always know that I'm kind of like in that particular music scene, you know, like I'm in that kind of like Americana, traditional country scene out here. Even though there's so much great stuff, you kind of are always cognizant of the fact that, okay, I know I'm in that kind of bubble, even though there's all this other shit going on.
Absolutely. And New Orleans was good to break that echo chamber for myself.
Oh, cool.
Because like kind of before I moved there, I was just like figuring out my like writing style and, you know, like really chasing the country thing. I love country music, saved my life. But when it becomes like the echo chamber, you're getting like less influence. Like, you got to find different avenues, and that you know, being in New Orleans, like it changes like month by month because it's a tourist town. really. You know, you have your core group of people, but then there's an influx of thousands of people.
Yeah, I'm sure that's definitely an overlap with here. Like, it's such a, so many tourists in and out of that place.
So you're in situations where you don't really get a say over what songs you're hearing, and you know, but there's a general like magic and general vibe that happens, and
that's cool.
People
man.
are all kind of riding off that and see what comes out. A lot of it was just like campfire jams and late night, you know, drunk jams in someone's living room, but you know, getting an experience to like Irish traditional music, you know, ragtime jazz and all this stuff that I really probably wouldn't like dig into myself, but when someone's sitting in front of me performing it, it had a profound impact. And
I also found even if you have one particular style of music that you want to explore creatively, if you're kind of dug in, okay, I want to play this kind of music. I feel like in a way it's almost like food. Like if you just eat the same fucking food every single day, there's going to be a point where you're probably, if not sick of it, you're probably going to get kind of like numb to it. Like it's just not going to be something that you're even really aware of. Whereas if you expose yourself to all of these different kinds of cuisine, it can refine your palate, even though it's different from the thing that you want to specialize in. Like, I feel like the music is much the same way. It's like we all have probably an idea of the kind of stuff that we want to do, but if you can expose yourself to all of these other kinds of music, even if it's sort of outside what you think of as being, you know, your bag, so to speak, when you come back to it, I think, well, one, you can take things from those other styles of music, which I think that's how music grows and like continues to push forward. But then it also, I think, just allows you to appreciate the intricacies of that kind of music that you are making more than if you just, you know, solely stuck to that sandbox.
Totally. And I'll find myself like writing the same song over and over kind of when I like am fully diving into that echo chamber, you know, and like if I'm not conscious of it, I'll write like, I could write like a Ramones sounding album, but in country, you know what I'm saying? It's like every song is like the same combo, though. Beat, like, same fucking, you know, structure and all that. And that like, that's cool too. You know, like I'm like, as long as you're making something, it's cool. But yeah, for me, I definitely, after living in New Orleans for quite some time, it's like, I want as much influence as I can get from anything that moves me. I want to try to like find that part of that music that moves me and, you know, hijack the trick.
Yeah, and you become like the distillation of all of those different things that you love. Like I think that's something that I know Brian and I have this, I don't want to say issue, but like I think with something like the country scene out here or any music scene, you know, it can get insulated and just, I think musically you can kind of trap yourself a little bit. Whereas if you have all of these seemingly disparate elements of music that you love, maybe there are these particular kinds that move you more than others, or that you listen to more compelled by. But like if you listen to all this different stuff, it's gonna kind of come out in the wash. Like you're gonna put out this thing that is you. Yeah. And it's like, at least for myself, that's what I want to do. You know, like I'm sure part of it is I'm not trying to like mold myself to sell a bunch of records, which is probably a smart thing to do. Shit. I would probably sell more records, but I think there's something to that, you know, like there's something to just finding whatever that lump sum total is of shit that is you know?
Yeah. I guess I kind of found that like, you know, I have the most like pull and respect and longing to like contribute to the country music tradition. Like that is like my like soul, you know, sits there in country music and what I can contribute. But when I sit down and I'm like, I want to write a country song, I won't. You know, I'm like, it's kind of like I learned that I don't really get to have a say over what comes out of me, really. And it's like what I'm putting into me is more what I have to say over. And, you know, like I was saying, like, if I'm not conscious of it, I'm going to write the same song over and over because it's just like that is what I'm feeling. Yeah. Like, and my songs kind of come from an unconscious part. Like,
yeah, I think they all do. Like, I think that's beautifully said, though. I mean, like, you can't control at least in my mind, I'm sure there are people out there who probably disagree, but like I feel much the same way. It's like I can't control what the output is. I can control the input. I can control what I listen to, and this transcends music. But
trying to control the output ends up in a worse result.
Yeah,
like it always ends up best when you just kind of let whatever is in come out without trying to force anything. Whereas if you like, I find if I'm always like, oh, I'm going to write a song like this, like it just ends up.
It's like
it doesn't work.
It's like whatever homework or something.
Yeah,
You're I have to do this. Whereas like, when you can just let it flow. It's like I was talking.
Always a better result.
Talking to a friend the other day, and just like I have like, I'm in this point right now with writing where I'm like trying to write a specific song that says a specific thing, it sounds a specific way.
That's so hard.
And I'm just like, hyper fixated and probably will never write the song, but torturing myself in that way and having like sitting down with that, the other songs come in the like peripheral vision. If I'm like, it's a weird part of my little process, but like, if I'm hyper focused on this thing and I'm sitting and I'm trying and I'm struggling and it's not like, I'm like suffering through that, the other songs come in the peripheral.
And I also find that like, I'm trying to think the most succinct way to say this. The music, or I think this transcends music. I think this is just sort of art, for lack of a better word. But like music that I'm compelled by, the music that people make that I think really affects me, I know they weren't writing for a particular bag, because oftentimes that, like, if I think of someone like Miles Davis, Miles isn't trying to write a jazz record. He's trying to write the best tunes he can write and arrange those the best he can, and it's through that process that like not only is he creating great music, he's also creating what jazz is, or like what it becomes. Like he's pushing the direction of the form, if that makes sense.
Totally.
And it's like I think the same thing is true of even people that we think of as being sort of foundational to certain types of music. Like whether it's fucking Hank Williams or whomever, like we think of that as foundational to country music. And it's like, it is, because Hank Williams existed. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's like,
and that's what was going on.
Exactly. Like he pushed it in that direction.
In
like
that time.
Exactly. And
that
like,
was the popular music.
Yeah,
that was like,
exactly.
The cool shit that
and
was
that's
going
why
on.
I think it's like, it's hard. It can be hard, like to, for a lot of people, they can kind of put the cart before the horse in a way when it comes to writing like that. And that's why I think like approaching it the way that you do, in my mind, is kind of like the only way to do it. Because otherwise you're just like, you're writing to, it's exactly like you said, it's homework. It's like you're kind of like filling in the blank, so to speak, as opposed to like making something
that works for some people. Like I've, listened to interviews with musicians who said they kind of do like that, and you wouldn't guess by, I think, some people, it comes from like a more sort of like intellectual, like fitting the puzzle together rather than more of just like a subconscious sort of place,
Yeah.
And I love that. Like, I want to get there. I want to get to a place where I'm like, have my whole formula and like process dialed to a thing where I do this to get this and get this.
That would be nice.
Because there ain't no wrong or right to this thing,
Oh, for sure.
Like, as long as you are making songs, that's the coolest shit.
All right, a quick pause to tell you about something local that I really believe in. Our friend Joe just launched Neon Belly MMA in East Nashville, and I'll say this, I've known and grappled with Joe for years. He's been my Muay Thai and MMA coach for a while now, so when I tell you he knows what he's doing, I'm just a little bit biased.
It's a community-focused martial arts gym offering group classes and personal training for folks of all experience levels.
What I respect most about what Joe's building is that it's not just about fighting. It's about learning real, practical self-defense while also improving your mental health, pushing yourself physically, learning to think under pressure, and doing it in a safe, inclusive environment with good people.
If you've ever thought about training but felt intimidated, this is that entry point.
And right now, they're doing 2 great promos for listeners of this podcast. The first 20 people get 2 weeks free, and if you sign up with a friend, you both get your second month free.
Go follow them on Instagram at neon_belly MMA and check out neonbellymma.com. If you're in East Nashville and you've been looking for something that challenges you in the best way, this might be it.
All right, back to the show. How did you get to country music? How did that enter your life?
Well, country music definitely like were the first songs that were stuck in my head. When I was a kid, I would spend the summers with my grandpa out in Colorado. He had a little horse farm, and he was a retired policeman. And then like just watched cowboy movies his whole life and was like, I'm going to be John Wayne when I retire and shit. And he wasn't a good cowboy, you know, but he was one. And I spent my summers with him, and he'd be singing. So like first time I heard Hank Williams or Patsy Cline or any of those like big ones, you know, Hank Lachlan was a big one for him. I already knew them from him singing them. And so like, you know, I was in the percentage of people that was like, I listened to everything but country when I was growing up, because I was like
I feel like that was like a trendy thing to say back then.
You know what I'm saying?
A lot of people just said that shit, haven't even heard country.
Well, I think also a lot of it's
Yeah.
like our age too, like especially like that time, like early 2000s. And don't get me wrong, looking back retrospectively, not to derail your story,
No.
I think there was a lot of like great country music of that era, but it's so I think it's so off-putting when you're that age for a lot of people that you're like, just not that, you know. And as a young person, like that is country music, because you know if you're growing up in the 90s, early 2000s, whatever, and you're exposed to that music, you're like, that's not my thing.
Yeah, yeah, and like for better or worse, it has like a societal representation
Yeah,
in
for
people's
sure.
mind. You know,
Yeah.
when you say you write country music or like country music, people. They jump to a certain place in their head and stuff, and which is another reason I really love making it, to like be like, hey, like it doesn't stand for all the weird shit that you're thinking it does. But yeah, like to get there, you know, I just started traveling, like I said, when I was young, and you know, sitting in busking circles or around campfires whenever I was hitchhiking. I'd hear a lot of these like traditional songs that still are out. If you go out and listen to people busk, they're probably playing a lot of the same ones, you know, those forever songs. And got a little bit more exposure there, and started writing my own songs and playing in rock and roll bands. And I'm like a dork, you know, like I try to go back as far as I can to like see who the writer's influences are. And I always went back to like, you know, like Hank Williams, fucking, you know, Muddy Waters, like Bob Dylan. It's like if you follow the line back for most of anyone that's writing songs, it'd get there somehow. So with that exposure and like investigation on my own, I kept getting back there. And one day, like I was just like in my own echo chamber of this like punk rock and roll thing. And like was just had a heartbreak going on or something, or like just was at the bottom one of the times I went there, and was watching my phone, and Hank Williams documentary popped up on there, and that was like, I remember the exact moment where I'm like, oh, actually that is like what I'm supposed to do, is like one of the cheesy things of like, oh, like I ain't the only one sort of thing.
Yeah, I know.
And Hank Williams did it for me, like this documentary, and just everything he was saying and what I was going through at the time, and it just all clicked where I was like, oh, like that's the way I'm gonna like do this thing. And I thought I was like unique, you know, like where I'm like, oh, I found my little like my little avenue, you know, that's special. And I'm a freak and I got face tattoos, but I like country music. And then I realized like, you know, there's a fucking million of us now, like just weirdo.
Well, it's a beautiful. I think it's also like the time that we're in now is like, I like to think that like that's always been out there in terms of like, you know, if you like something, there's always been an audience for it. Now there's obviously we just have a lot of people, but there's also this interconnectedness now, whereas, you know, you never had that before. I mean, it's like, I mean,
with social media.
I love traditional music. Like that's what I adore, folk music, and you know, I went to college for it and like love it to death. But like, and that's like an experience where like, you know, you go somewhere and you meet people who have the same interests. But now it's like you can, there's fucking Instagram pages that I follow of people who obsess over the same shit. Like it's so cool. Like but it's amazing that like you can have that exposure to it in a way that like you just couldn't in the past.
It was a little bit of like a hit to my ego where I was like, oh, I'm super special and stuff.
Dude, I always think,
it got on social media. I'm like, oh shit.
I always think
everyone.
when I was in college, we had this library at school that had all of this amazing traditional music, and I would like every other day I would take like half a dozen CDs or whatever and just rip them onto my hard drive. It was like gold mine, you know what I mean? I was like, because you just couldn't find the shit. And then within like half a decade of leaving school, all that shit's like on Spotify and stuff, and like you can find it anywhere. And I'm like, which is great. I mean, it's nice. The access is amazing, but at the same time, there's something about it. You're like,
I work for this.
Yeah, it's like I like when it's like hen's teeth. You know what I mean? Like there's something about it that's
cool. It feels more
special.
Yeah.
There's something about like like even just trying to break down how I got there to you. Like I didn't really ever think about it, but it is like kids. There's like a double-edged sword to the thing. Yeah. Because this next generation won't have that like journey to go find the shit. Yeah. They just have to put it up in the internet, and I think part of that, the special thing was like, where you found your records and like what avenue, what room you were sitting on, who showed you, like that whole thing, like it's going to be kind of lost in the next generation.
I think it still exists to some degree. Like I like vinyl and I go to record stores all the time. I've found a lot of records that I cannot find online.
Oh, for sure.
They're like really fucking good records. And it's kind of cooler because it's like, nobody else has this. It's mine, So it still exists to a degree, but yeah, definitely less and less. So.
And I also find it's interesting because like it's like this. It's this weird dichotomy at play. Because on one hand, you're like, you know what? This is so cool. I think this is like, I love it. Like I've discovered this and like it's mine. And at the same time, the first thing you do when you find fucking cool music is you want to show everyone that you like. If you find that, like, there's nothing better. Like even like the other night, I was on this Little Axe kick. That I've just been like digging this stuff this past week, and I like immediately sent it to Brian. I'm like, check out how fucking cool this is, like, and I think there's something beautiful about that. Like it is this weird dichotomy because on one hand it's like it feels so special when it's yours, when it's not just out there. But the second that you find that thing, you want to send it to the people that you love. Like you want to send it to the people who like, oh, I think you would fucking like this too,
Totally. But there are the ones that you just keep in your pocket.
Yeah, exactly.
Ain't showing nobody.
We don't talk about those on the air,
But yeah, I guess a big part of my like avenue getting country music too was like, growing up with like Elliott Smith and Conor Oberst, where they're saying these like super like raw, honest, sad bastard things in a digestible way, and like there's. Obviously, their songs were dressed up different. Not
that's like
not
presentation,
a lot of fiddle and pedal steel on them, but I feel it comes from a very similar place. And just wanted, growing up, I wanted to like concentrate and extract like the saddest shit for some reason. Like that's what had a profound effect on me. And then finding Hank Williams and finding George Jones and Lefty Frizzell and all these people, they're doing the same thing, like they're saying these like horribly devastating things about our human experience, and like in a way that is so hyper personal
and so beautiful too. Like,
why do you think that is
digestible?
Like, that sort of stuff seems to connect with people more than positive things.
I don't know, and I wish I did because
I was thinking about this the other day, like. Yeah.
I'm like trying to flip my wires in my head about that.
Yeah.
Because like I feel like I've written myself into a lot of the hardships in my life, honestly. I'll write a song and it'll become more and more true.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like even sometimes without even like.
So you speak it into being quite literally.
Yeah. So I'm trying to switch that into like I want to Jimmy Buffett myself, man. I want to fucking like I want to write myself on a yacht and $1 million and shit. Like.
Yeah, I just find that interesting. It seems like people connect with negativity and sadness more than they do with Like, because I myself find myself personally like drawn to that sort of stuff as far as like the
guess-
art I consume. But
I guess you're not like looking for a solution when you're happy. You're already like there, you know?
That's
That
true.
makes sense.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
like when
okay.
you're like, you know, broken, you're like looking for something to get you out.
I feel the
Yeah.
same way
Or
about
something.
that
maybe.
makes sense. Yeah.
I feel the same way about love songs too. I feel like I always joke around on stage that I think there are about 3 good love songs that have ever been written, because so many of them, it's like it's so interesting. It's like I can close my eyes and I can see it's sort of like the facade of the thing, but it's not actually. It's so hard, I think, for people to write about true love, you know what I mean? In any capacity. It's like there are just things in art that I think are very, very difficult to convey. And I think it's noble when people try to do that. Like, I love the process of watching someone attempt to express that. And I think happiness, at least my experience is, I think happiness is kind of in that same world as love, in the sense that like it can just be very difficult to present in a way that I think
That's not cheesy. And
yeah,
like,
exactly,
you know,
exactly.
Dude, I like this last year was like about to give up songs because of that.
Oh, okay.
You know, like where I was like, I don't want to only write heartbreak songs. You know, like I want to write like how beautiful everything is in the same way that reaches as deep as that. But like you're saying, I don't know how to get there and have
It's
like
much harder to do that and not sound corny.
yeah, and have it have some like oomph, like a little bit of depth,
and
and
I
not
find
just
it,
like you're the most beautiful thing in the whole world. And
And I think that like the great art, and again, I think this transcends music, but I think the great art that can do that is always saying a little more. Like if I think like, you know, okay, gun to my head, what's the greatest love song of all time? Big River's up there. But when I think of, okay, what is that song about? Yes, it's a love song, clearly, but there's also just something about, you know, it sort of makes me emotional thinking about it, but there's just something about the human experience in that song that, you know, people, that will stay with people for as long as we're here. People can interact with that song, and it will resonate with us as human beings. Like there's something beyond just the, you know, the sort of surface level love story element of it that just for some reason affects us, that we hear those words, we hear that melody, you know, whether it's Johnny Cash singing it or whomever, and it's like we get to stare in the mirror for those 3 minutes. Like there's just something very core to us as a person that we get to experience of ourselves. It's hard to articulate what that is.
And I mean, I think art exists for that reason of like capturing these things that are bigger than us, and that's like it's the whole point of it. I think you know, it's like trying to tap into that eternal.
What's the art that you've experienced that has sort of scared you or shaken you? Because I know for myself as a person, there's that exposure to certain art that you think not only like, oh my God, this person, you know, sees me, this person, but it's like, oh, how, it's like almost you can't even really fathom that thing exists, that like that somebody could so accurately present something into the world that you get to witness. Like it can be scary. I mean, some people can experience it in painting, you can experience it in film, you can experience it in music, but there are those things I find for all of us that when we experiencing them for the first time, it's almost shocking in a way. Like what are those bits of art that have really moved you as a person?
That's a cool question. It's really situational and experiential. But the ones that last for me, that have shook me to my core and still and will always, Sigur Rós, for sure. Like that's like a religion to me. But really, like, you know, I'll get shaken, and even in my mind's eye, like about like street painters, you know, and like people that are just like doing it and have to do it, and it doesn't matter what it looks like or what it sounds like, but you could see that it's just this outpour that they have to do. And you know, like that's why it's so situational, because you know, I could pick up a book and be going through something, and sentence rocks my world, But yeah, definitely Sigur Rós, and like I had this French poetry book. I couldn't remember any of the authors, but it was like 1800s French poetry that like I was like, how could someone articulate so well what is going on inside me? And this is 100 years ago or 200 years ago. And so like that sort of thing, and that's tying it back into like country and like folk music and shit. That's like those songs that sound so simple and sound so like shallow and shit, but are like life right there in the forefront. Like that's folk music and country music have that happening a lot.
And I think in those forms of music too, any older form of music where you can sort of track lineage in that way, I think it can be compelling too, because you realize, to your point, how obviously life is quite different now than it was 1870 or 1412 or whatever, like as far back as you want to go down the line. But at the same time, in a weird way, the human experience is exactly the same. Mm-hmm. And there's something about witnessing that in art that I don't think other things do that. Like it's hard to express it, but like I don't think seeing a photograph of like what life in this particular rural environment in this particular era or what have you conveys that. I don't think that seeing a map of this particular landscape in this, like I don't think those things really they might sort of scratch the surface on the intellectual side of things, but I think art is the way in which we can truly peer into the past and see like, oh, this is exactly where I'm living the exact same experience someone lived 400 years ago.
That's a cool line to draw. Like you could look at a map of a landscape and like know the history that went on there, and that's cool. Mm-hmm. I dork out in that way.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Same.
Like I love all that, like learning about all the history. But like you could look at that map, but then you could see a painting of the same exact thing, and it will might actually have that effect.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
No,
you could see the like photograph of that time and like dig into the history, but then you could see a painting of that exact same photograph, and it'll be like, it might change your world, and like that's super cool.
Well, the painting is like the actual setting plus like
it's through that filter of that human being.
Yes, through like that person's imagination. It's like those things combined. It's like the reality with that person's perception. Which is cool about it.
Painting is. I used to do a lot of painting when I was younger. It's been a long time, but that's a medium that I just am in awe of when people can do that. I mean, in so many different styles. I mean, there's not one particular style that moves me necessarily more than others. But
I've never really understood like. Maybe I'm just not very visually artistic, but I've never I can't tell you what a good painting and a bad painting is. You know?
Yeah, but
I mean?
I think that if you're making them, they're good.
I'm just like I don't know. They all.
No, but I think
they all look good to me.
You say that, but I think you can. I think it's the same thing with music. Like we have I say this constantly, and I say it sort of tongue in cheek, but like
I guess what I mean is like music. I could listen. I can determine the artistic value of like an album or a piece of music or but for whatever reason paintings I just don't feel like I can do that. I don't know why.
You learn enough of the mechanics of music to like know what is like technically good.
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying?
But I mean like because
maybe not technically, but
no, but I guess what I'm saying is like, okay, if you listen to like
too, like I can tell the difference between like an artistically great movie and then just like.
So I guess what I'm saying is this: if I gave you I'm trying to work through this because I get what you're saying. So if I presented you with like Coltrane and like
Kenny G,
whatever, like, you could tell the difference, right?
Yeah.
All right, if I give you,
I feel like I can do that with like the film.
If I give you like Scorsese and then I give you like Michael Bay, like you can parse. Nothing wrong with Michael Bay, fucking Transformers fucks, guys. Okay, fuck off. But you can do that. So like I bet in your core, I bet you could do the same with painting. I bet if I presented to you. I'm gonna say Van Gogh only because I was just at his museum in Amsterdam not that long ago, and somebody else, some hack equivalent. I bet there's something. I bet there's something innate inside you. I think you could tell the difference.
I'd be curious to actually have someone test me and see if I could. I don't think I could, but it would be a fun experiment to see if
I think that's like a super cool thing to dig into, though, because it doesn't really matter, like if it moves you.
Exactly. It either moves you or it doesn't. Yeah.
And that's the coolest thing about art, like I think that like, you create something, it stands alone outside of you, and you could have a fucking dude pushing a shopping cart and then the fucking multimillionaire both creating a painting, and who knows what will move you or not.
No, absolutely.
And that's fucking badass. And I think that's I chase that too, reading philosophy and stuff like the old Hellenistic philosophers. There was like two greats, and one was king and one was a peasant. And they like created this whole philosophy, not knowing of each other, but the same thing. You know, and it's like doesn't even matter. It's outside of like technically good or bad, and that's why I go back to like if you're making it, it's fucking awesome. Even if I don't like it, like. Yeah, what does my taste really matter?
The more people can just be compelled to make things like that, the better.
Yeah, and it's a time to be making shit. I think like with the AI thing, I don't know like what.
How do you feel about that? Are you art is all doomed, or do you
I don't know.
Optimistic.
It's wild. Like I'm like I hope
you might be the first person here who doesn't have like a really strong opinion one way, which I kind of love. Like that's the move. I mean,
of course I'm like fuck it, because like it's fucking with the environment and stuff, and like I don't want like billionaires to run fucking everything. Obviously, that's scary as shit.
Well, they already do. So.
Yeah.
I hate to break it to you.
Shit, but have a billionaire come run up on me and try to take my shit. Come on, man. Like, right. But like I think the pendulum's gonna swing. Like we were talking about, like the human touch of shit and like.
Yeah, I don't think it's replaceable.
Yeah.
Or I think there will be
yet.
I think there will be like almost a division in society of like people who can still like recognize the human connection, and then people who are just too far gone and just consume AI slop all day.
But not to be cynical, we kind of already do that already.
Yeah, to an extent. But I think that divide will become
like
greater.
If you listen,
I do think there will always be a market for like human art. Like you
for
can't
sure.
replace a live concert, seeing someone perform in person.
I just think like, and again,
there'll always be a market.
This
for
is
that.
going to sound a lot more cynical than I mean it to, but it comes from a place of I think just much more positivity than it's going to seem to convey. But like if you look at like pop music of today, I feel like you're kind of already in that world. I mean,
100%.
That stuff is so, and not to put that down. This is not a moral statement, but that stuff is so algorithmic. It's so there's such a system there's such a science to that which again is in a way it's a craft. I mean that's I'm not a moral statement, but because there is such a science to it, you're kind of you're just sort of plugging in these different variables. Stuff like that I think will be replaced by AI very, very easily. Like I don't see where like I would be shocked.
Which honestly is kind of like
good. Yeah, in a way, in a way.
I see that.
We can just stop pretending that's real art.
Exactly.
Exactly. I fuck with pop music, but I don't.
Exactly. It's like I say that knowing full well, like there's stuff in that world that I'll put on that I enjoy that I think is fun, But
I just look at it like a machine anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like reality TV.
And I fuck with that.
Sometimes it's just it's dog shit, but sometimes it's fun to just.
Sometimes Love Island is what you fucking need, dude.
It's like going to McDonald's. Like it's trash, but like
but there's a time and place for trash.
Exactly.
Like this,
dude.
But
I'm a product of all of that. I like that about myself. It was like I'm a product of McDonald's and fucking pop music and just American ass shit, and like that's it's funny, it's funny to see what that produces and like the experience that produces, and it's like well crafted,
Yeah.
You know, to like
And
put you in situations and make you like see things in a certain light, and even if you're outside of it, like it's all like I'm a big conspiracy guy, you know, so I would go down that rabbit hole. But
fuck yeah, let's go. Well, that's like our favorite thing to do.
I'm definitely like a product of America.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
For sure. I mean,
Walmart ass baby or
you
something.
Can't, and you can't escape it. And it's also, it's like there's a time and place for that shit. I mean, like there's a time and place for that. I think the danger of that kind of thing is when you can't escape it, right? The danger of that sort of thing is like when you feel trapped by, or you have no alternative.
Or
Right.
it dumbs you down enough to where you can't enjoy anything else which I feel like you get a lot these days.
And that's what you're talking about with
And
like the people
to go down the conspiracy road. Like I feel like one could argue maybe there's a degree of that which is intentional, and you know, because I thought of this the other day because for my work sometimes I drive people around in a black car or whatever, and Britney Spears was on the radio, right? I forget what song, but one of her hits came out in the early 2000s or whatever. And
I had a feeling.
It just was on the radio when I came on, and I was listening to it, and I was like impressed with how much more there was going on. You know, that was like pop music at the time, but there's much more going on in that track than there is in like pop music today. Like the arrangements, like all the little stuff in the background, there was actually a lot more to it. Whereas like, you know, I feel like it's measurable, like popular music kind of getting.
I think it's just
down.
lowest common denominator with all that stuff. I think
But
it's
it
just
just
like
gets simpler and simpler.
I heard a comic talking about all that and like the media, and, you know, all the new technology coming, like what music will be like or art will be like in, you know, 100 years. And it's like, he was saying like, it's just going to be certain tones playing. Like, and it's going to satisfy all the needs of all the people that can't think for themselves, you know?
Yeah.
there's some wisdom to that. I mean, I would not be shocked if, you know, X amount of time down the road, that's where we're at.
And like maybe some lady's voice over it, but it's just like,
But like, don't you think that like that the gradual dumbing down of art could be used as a way to like gradually dumb down society into becoming like docile slaves?
yeah, dude. That's the conspiracy that I'm like getting on for sure.
Yeah, like I kind of believe it.
I think it. I personally think that does happen. Absolutely. I just don't. And this is where Brian and I are different.
Yeah, I got you.
This is where Brian and I are different. I just don't think that they're. I don't think they're, and I'm not saying that this isn't the case. I just don't think you need malicious intent to drive that. I think that we do that to ourselves. You know what I mean? Like, and again, I could certainly be convinced otherwise, but
So
I think
you think that that's happening, but it's not deliberate. It's just an organic thing.
I think it's just,
I don't know. I think that the like powers that be,
there's definitely incentive there. Like, there's absolutely incentive there.
They need to have control over the art because art is the most powerful thing outside of like, you know, like military.
I mean,
you know?
that's like the thing that wakes people up spiritually more than anything. It's a powerful piece of art.
It drives the whole culture.
If you can remove that experience from people, they just, I
think there was a definite say and influence over like drill music coming out when it did, and you know, like the effect that had on society and stuff. Like, and definitely, if I didn't have the privilege to like dig inside myself and figure out what I think and, you know, remove myself from the societal mechanism or like machine work, fucking like being the product of America that I'm getting at, I would be that person that is just like fed the slop and like,
because it's so hard to do that. It's so hard to do what you're saying. It's so hard to be able to remove yourself and look objectively at those. Like, and I think that's like,
it takes money too. And
it takes and I think even more than money, it takes something of your soul to be able to do that. And it's like, and
it takes a lot of willpower.
It does, and it's like that's a really fucking hard thing to do. Like when I think of all of the art of the last century that has moved me, like intellectually, it's sort of George Carlin had a huge effect on me as a young person.
Hell yeah.
And you know, frankly, like I don't really give a shit if I agree with George Carlin on like, you know, whatever a particular topic is.
Right.
It's the fact that, like, you know, as a 13-year-old, you know, you watch Jammin' in New York and you're like, wait, okay. It's like the walls start to come down. You're oh, okay, you can think that. And it's this very strange thing that happens in art where just sort of being exposed to certain ideas can manifest them in your own mind. Like you can realize that you have inadvertently, like, sort of trapped yourself. And just being exposed to those things in, you know, as a young person in particular, I think is so powerful. Like that's why when people sort of dismiss art as this sort of, you know, this thing that we do and partake in once we're done with a nice long hard day's work, it's like, yeah, I get that, because that's how most of us have to interface with it. It's not a bad thing, but that's just how most of us sort of consume art. But to what you're saying, it's like
totally develop you as a human
exactly.
being.
Like I am the lump sum total of all of the art that I had. Yeah,
that's
absolutely.
the rant I've been on lately, the last like year or so. The most is like, comics are the highest artists to me, man.
So hard.
Because
it's so hard to do that.
Yeah.
There's nothing to hide behind, just a microphone, getting up there, and they're taking you down those avenues, you know, in a funny way. These super high gravity content, you know, like, and like devastating shit and real life experience, human experience, blah, 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 doing it, and you laugh at it, you know. But it's taking you down and like breaking down those walls in such a simple way. You're not even thinking that they're doing it because it's like presented on this platter of like goofy, you know, but it's like, you know, that's a very cool thing that's happening in our generation.
I remember being a young person. I was probably 13 years old, and I remember watching Carlin, and yeah, I think it's Jammin' in New York. He does the whole there is no God bit. Like, we just made this up. And I remember being a kid and being like, oh my God, like I just never thought that before. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then like he does, and the whole time I'm laughing at it because it's a beautifully constructed piece of comedy. But he's also just putting something into the world, you know, and as a grown man, I have my own thoughts and opinions on those things. But like there's nothing in the world I would give to not have that, like, to have that experience. Like I would have that every time over.
He opened up the door to ask those questions.
Exactly. And it's like, and all of the art that I love has it's like somebody kicking open a fucking door. Like the first time you hear a particular song, the first time you see a particular film that exposes something in the world to you that you didn't know. I mean, it does. It feels like someone hitting a fucking battering ram into your front door, and you're like, oh shit, like this is on the table too. And I think there's something like kind of scary about that in a way. And so I think for a lot of people, I think the reason why so many people are, and this is where I get a little conspiratorial, I think the reason why so many people are want to consume stuff like the sort of shit pop slop that we were talking about earlier isn't necessarily it's not because most people are stupid. It's because I think when that knocks on the door,
nature,
I think when that knocks on the door for people, when those doors get kicked open, the immediate reaction is to shut the door and like not because it's a fucking scary thing to experience art like that.
It's been a learning lesson this last year with that. Is like, not everyone wants to dig into those parts of their psyche. And
I think for most people, it's just easier to shut the door and be like, I'm done.
Dopamine you can, rather than actually have to think and work through something in your mind.
And I can't blame people for that. Like I just set up my life where I could do that all the time and like break down every wall or barrier in my like psyche.
I just think like when I think of all of the art in my life that has moved me, all of it, really without exception, the first reaction upon experiencing that thing, whatever it was, wasn't, oh my God, I love this. It was, wait, what the fuck was that?
Yeah.
It's that instinct of like throwing your arms out.
Totally.
Like that's what the instinct was for any of the stuff that truly affects me as a person. And I think that for most people, they kind of just stay there. They stay in that kind of like I don't want that.
Well, dude, the world is like scary and getting scarier.
Exactly.
So,
and it's like I can't blame. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So again, it's like it's not a moral statement. It's this interesting thing where I find that's why I believe most people sort of sit in that they sit on the other side of that fence.
But that's
they
why I
don't wanna
believe
do
in
that.
the conspiracies we're talking about is because of that profound fact that like blew down doors.
Yeah, no,
for
absolutely.
you is like you know like the powers that be know that too. They know like the effect these things could have on people.
Yeah.
So if you like dumb it down as much as possible, and you know, like literally, I love the most ignorant shit. Like really. So like, I get the like aesthetic pleasure, you know, of it, but like the like
sometimes a McDonald's cheeseburger is what you fucking want.
That's what I'm talking. Yeah, you know, but like, you know, the high art part of it of like knocking down doors and stuff. That is like what I think will be, you know, manipulated and you know pushed to you're gonna have to search to find it, you know.
Especially because there's a certain level of control there that is now that can be much more powerful. I mean, like when everything is now online, you know, like there's if people are presenting this stuff in public, right, whatever form it's taking. Yeah, you can crack down on it. Yeah, you can ban certain things, etc. But people are gonna do shit. People are gonna do shit now too in this new era. But if you do give the powers that be certain master controls, it's a lot harder. It's a lot harder to get away with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Speaking of banning shit, dude, my favorite music right now is corridos.
Okay.
It's like Mexican folk.
Nice.
But it's like the biggest music in Mexico right now.
That's
maybe
killer.
like maybe in the world. I don't really know. I only know like America, but dude, like it's just like these story songs about narco traffickers and like
that's amazing. I need to listen to some.
It's sick, and it's like drill music in a way that it's saying the stories before even the news is saying them. And, giving you the whole rundown, but they're banned in America because like cartels become like a terrorist organization and stuff, but it's literally all organic sounds like
that's very
bass
cool.
and guitar, and but it's like hard as fuck, like thug shit.
Check that out.
It's cool, and they two-step to it and stuff.
Oh, fuck.
too.
All right, we want to take a second to thank one of the sponsors of the show, Ear Trumpet Labs. If you've watched the live performances we film here on Roosic, chances are you've already seen their microphones in action. We use their Delfina mic all the time in the studio, and honestly, it's become one of our favorite pieces of gear.
Ear Trumpet Labs makes handcrafted condenser microphones that are designed specifically for acoustic music and live performance. They look incredible on camera, and more importantly, they sound amazing.
They're built in Portland, Oregon, and you can really tell there's a lot of care that goes into them.
So if you're a musician, engineer, or venue looking for a microphone that both sounds great and looks great on stage, definitely go check them out. You can learn more at eartrumpetlabs.com.
And a huge thanks to Ear Trumpet Labs for supporting the show. Now, back to the episode. That's another thing too, like kind of getting back to the country thing we were talking about earlier. Like, I think that when you do get exposed to that stuff, especially as a young person, like when you hear to what you were saying, like when you hear Hank Williams for the first time, or whoever it is that is working on that level, I mean, it's so punk rock. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like it's so like there's just something. It's hard for me to even really express it, but like there's certain people like that. Whatever this happens in jazz too. I mean, like certain artists will do things and it's just, it feels fucking punk rock. It feels cool. And like, and I love that. Like, I think that there's something to when artists can take those risks and those chances, and it happens in country. It happens in country music. And I think that that's kind of the thing that I'm glad that it seems like a lot of folks in our circle are latching onto is there's the sort of costume of it, like there's like what it sounds like, there's the presentation, which is awesome. Like I love the arrangement of country, of traditional country music. I think it's beautiful. But then there's also like the sort of, there's what it's doing and what it's saying. And
I think it's all about like finding the platform for full expression.
Yeah.
However you could do that. And like there's no right or wrong for everyone on a personal level in that, you know, like how do you set the stage to fully express what you're trying to fully express, you know, and that sounds different for everyone. That loops back to what we were saying about like, if you sit down and try to write a country song, like maybe that's not what you're supposed to do right now, you know, like, yeah, what is the platform that you're going to set up so you could fully give it all, you know, and kind of tying in what we're talking about now with that is like, you know, I have a lot of like deep thoughts about, you know, society and government and, you know, all of this stuff, but in politics, whatever. But like, I'd like to leave that completely separate from music because I feel like music and art, or no, music in general, specifically, its job is to remove you from all that shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that's cool, like that, you know, there's been like Woody Guthrie's and stuff to do the protest sort of thing. But like, I feel that my job as a musician is to like take people out of the fucking madness for 3 minutes.
I think too, like,
you know,
these days, I feel like that shit is just like thrown in your face constantly all the time. That it's like whenever I'm like consuming any art and then I realize that there's a political agenda there, I'm just like, it doesn't even matter what side it's coming from. It's like, dude, I hear enough of this shit. Like,
I want to like my full platform that I'm like trying to like develop and will for the rest of my life is like touching on that human element. And that's why I'm really excited about this new record is like, you know, I have all the friends I have here in Nashville and the like ability to make a really slick fucking record. Yeah. You know, and I'd like went about it in a different way because I wanted to sound like gritty and fucking like human and like just raw, you know. I'm calling it Gutter Tonk.
Yeah, I love that name, by the way.
It's good, right? It fits the whole thing, you know.
I love it. It's like, but I think that at the same time, like people can, because I definitely want to talk about the new record. I think that people can, and I'm sure this has always been the case, but I think contemporarily, a lot of people, when they hear what you're saying, which I totally agree with and understand, I think a lot of people it can like be off-putting to people in a way, but
what?
Like in the sense that like why aren't you making this saying certain things? Like what? Like,
I see what you're saying.
And it's like, but to me, it's like I think that there's something incredibly. I agree with your sentiment. Like I think it's important one to have that in the world, but also I think it's really fucking hard to like. Elvis had this great thing. Someone I wish I could remember what year this was, but they were at some point. He was doing a press conference for an album release, and someone was asking him about the politics of this and that and the other, and he was like, "I'm just an entertainer. I'm here to say." And yeah, it seems like a flippant answer, but you can put on. I mean, I think Elvis is one of the great performers of all time. I mean, like some of those recordings, I think are like. As long as human beings exist, you can put on those records and they will, like we were talking about earlier, they will profoundly affect you.
There's a reason that he took over.
Yeah, I mean, like absolutely, and I think he's just one of the great voices of all time. And there's something really beautiful about like those pieces of art stand for themselves. Like he's not gonna tell you what to think. He's not gonna tell you why. Like you will listen to, you know, If I Can Dream, and it doesn't matter where you are in the world, doesn't matter where you are politically. That will move you as a human being if you're listening.
For me, it's important to separate the two.
Yeah.
Because like for like a multitude of reasons, really, but mostly because like we all want the same shit. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like no matter this like political divide is completely manufactured so that we are not connecting with each other and shit. Like, and so like, even besides the point that like, if I say something political, I'm going to turn off half the country. You know what I'm saying? Like just business wise, that's dumb to do.
Not a great business move.
You know, like, but besides that, like with that and any effect that I may have, I want it to be a way that is bringing everyone together. Yeah. Like, not like, you know, there's nights where I'm out dancing, you know, and like honky tonking and fucking, it's like, I don't think about any other problems in my life, you know?
Yeah.
And, you know, to be on the stage and singing it's the same deal. Like, you know, I might be singing about something that fucking completely devastated and destroyed me, but not when I'm watching people fucking drinking and chasing tail and
having a good time, like living life. Yeah.
You know, like, fuck yeah. Those are the moments I'm trying to, like,
that's so
produce
beautiful.
and shit.
And I think that's what's needed more in the world now than ever, than anything else.
And that's why it's cool that like a bunch of freaks are making country music now. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I love it.
It's because it's like, it's taking the like, I drive a big truck and fucking love Trump and fucking, you know, like that's like a big part of like, you know, like why a lot of the country was like, what we were saying earlier of like, I like anything but country because it represented like stupid shit that we don't. Well, I speak for myself that I don't stand for.
Absolutely. It's like you can feel like it pigeonholes you for no reason. Like,
now that the freaks are kind of taking over, like, and having our little wave of it, like, it's taking that away, and it's like, no, this is just American music,
and there's just something
we
like
all have this
communal
American
about it.
experience. You know?
Like I remember, like a few months ago, the theater down. I'm a huge film nerd, and the theater down the street was doing a whole month of Kurosawa films this last year, and I remember going in there, and you know, there's something beautiful about a movie theater experience because you're in this sort of communal situation with all these other people that like I don't know these people. I've never met them before in my life. I'll never probably have a conversation with these people, but you're sitting there and you're watching this master present all these incredible movies.
Is Kurosawa the dude who did Howl's Moving Castle?
No, he didn't. Akira Kurosawa was a Japanese film director who did Throne of Blood, Ran, Seven Samurai. Like the list goes on. But just amazing. It's the fucking best. But like for my money, the greatest director of all. It's like him and Hitchcock are like, if people are going to debate like who's the GOAT, I think it's curious. It depends on what side of the bed you get up on in the morning, but I always get up on the right side of the bed.
The wrong over here.
But you know, I bring it up because, you know, you're sitting in this movie theater and I just would think like, and this obviously happens anytime you're going to experience something like this, but just witnessing something as beautiful as this, I'm thinking, all of us in this room, regardless of what our life experience is, who knows, you know, what the person next to me, what they're going through in life, or this part, like you have no idea. But for this, you know, 3 hours or whatever, we're going to sit in this room and he's going to show us this story and we're going to be affected by it. Now we're going to take different things away from it, right?
That's the whole thing.
But there's something so powerful about that to me as a human being that, you know, all of us have our different life experiences and we will take different things that like, that's the reason why I love film is because it's never changing, because those frames are locked in. Like, music is different. I love music because it's alive. It's in the moment. Like music it's a conversation that's happening, and it depends on the kind of music you play, but the kind of music I generally love is music that's present and alive, whether it's you know, jazz or country or what have you, blues music.
It completely shapes the way I look at the world and my day to day, because it is like all about the moment. Like for better or worse, like it is like that's how my mind works.
There's just something so beautiful about that experience, I think, and that can happen too when you're in a theater watching a great performance, a great musical performance like that happens. But like there's something about that moment of sort of like everyone getting in that trance, that sort of collective trance of being taken somewhere with something like that I just think is so powerful. Like I wish I could experience that more in life, because I think it does so much.
I want to fill up my every day with that. You know, that's what I'm after, really.
Yeah. It's the best. So tell me about the new record. So you've got it all tracked at this point?
Yeah. So it's just a combination of songs or collection of songs that through the years, it's not really a like cohesive story or anything. It's just like learning how to run the honky tonks, like get people dancing. And I like picked all the songs that people dance to the best, and I had the funnest time singing. And tracked it out in Atlanta with my buddy Aj, who has tracked Sabine McCullough's latest record, the Deslon's latest record.
Oh, nice.
And he just like on a whim, another studio fell through, and I'm like, fuck, I've been trying to do this record for a bit. Like, will you come to Atlanta? And he's like, yeah. And so it was like a week of planning pretty much. And he came up with a mobile setup and reel to reel and an Airbnb. Like I was saying, I had the opportunity to come here and make it, you know, and just have it be like slick as fuck, like how, you know, like Chris or, you know, dudes at Bomb Shelter could do. But for this one and it being gutter tonk and all that, I wanted like that gritty feel. So I enlisted my old bass player from my first rock and roll band and like just an old friend, and then my brother playing drums, both like that's not their strong suit, country music
that's
and
killer.
stuff. And they kind of have like a rock and roll feel, you know? So like it was,
that's awesome.
I wanted to get that grit. And then I had Mikey Davids, I believe his last name is. He's from North Carolina. He came out and played fiddle, and that's not like his first instrument either.
That's cool.
And then Tebbs, who you probably know, he came out and played pedal steel. So it's just like a sick ass group of kids, like, or group of dudes, and weird experience, like on a whim. And it was like totally human.
Yeah.
You know,
how did you,
all live.
That's what I was gonna say. Did you guys track it live? Like, how'd you do it?
Yeah. All live, like right there in the Airbnb. Like half the dudes, the first time from hearing the songs, like was tracking them. So it's a really fresh feeling thing. And some of the songs were pretty old for me, but doing it in that way, like rejuvenated,
really cool.
refreshed them. And it's definitely got like a, you know, different sound. You know?
I was gonna ask, because you put 3 EPs out last year, or like 3, like kind of like you were saying before we were rolling that like none of the stuff on those is on the album. How did you decide to like? Because those stuff sounds great. Also, a funny aside story. So we were talking about having you come on here, and so I was checking out some of your music. This was a while ago, and I was like, I dig this. And then I was listening. I was like, I'm playing on this. It's such a fucking small world, dude. Yeah. Because I was like, that's happened, and I'm like, that is so like it's Nashville's such a small world.
Dude,
I was like,
I love that. And Chris was so stoked to have you on. And
Chris is such a sweetheart. I love that kind of death.
He made those like happen. Him and Dustin really were like the big part of why those 2 EPs I was able to put out. That's like really started developing my connections down here. That's pretty much why I ended up down here.
But I was going to ask, so how did you decide what went on those versus what's now going on the record?
Dance music. It's a dance record.
Love that. That's awesome.
You know, like I have, like, I'm a songwriter, you know, that's through and through. And even past that, I'm a poet. That's like what keeps me going. And so, but not all of those are danceable. And not all of those, like, sometimes it's like, you know, like that song I played first, you know, it's just like a fucking story. Yeah. Just have to sing it for whatever reason. But these were like produced and manufactured through honky tonkin'. Okay. Just like getting people dancing. And I had a great like trial by fire down in New Orleans where it was like, you know, the culture is like party and get hammered and make bad decisions and but how do you keep the vibe up and keep people moving? And I had a really cool band down there, and that's how I met Aj, who like engineered and produced this record. But yeah, just like finding that and finding like that's what I'm after, is that what we were talking about, taking people away for that 3 minutes or hour or 3 hours if it's a film. And I believe that these songs did that. That's why I picked these ones.
That's awesome.
They were able to like the ones that moved people and kept them moving.
Yeah,
nice.
That's killer. What so kind of like what stage is it in right now? Where are you at with the album?
It like that side of music is I'm pretty foreign to, like of like the like actual technical side. if it was up to me, I'd be like, it's done. Let's fucking get it out there. Really. But I was showing it to our buddy Weldy and Dustin, and they want to sit with it for like a day or two in the studio and just do some sprinkles on it.
Nice.
So like I'm in like doing the art.
Okay, cool. So you're kind of
sending it out to labels, trying to get funding because I want to tour off of it. I want to do the whole kit and caboodle with this one.
Dude, I'm stoked to hear it because the EPs from last year sounded great. Like there was, and I'm excited to hear like the different route.
It's kind of a mix
I mean?
between the two. Like I had the Other Side EP, and there's like part 1 and 2.
Part 1 and 2, yeah.
And then there's the Low Ways, and I did that with my partner at the time, and so it's kind of a mix between the two sonically.
That's cool.
Where one was like a bedroom record, and I did it with my one of my best friends in the world, who I'm actually going out next week to record another little EP with him on some singer-songwriter shit, like just get weird on it, but in the way it was like making it feel like more raw and rugged. And then Peyton, who is my ex, is singing through the whole record with me too.
Nice.
So like that's why it's a mix of the two.
That's really cool. I'm really stoked to hear it, man. I think that's gonna be.
It was such a cool experience and family vibe, you know. And that's.
Sorry.
Oh no, you go.
No, just say like, were there certain records sonically that you wanted to kind of that you wanted to emulate, just in terms of the soundscape that they got to?
Yeah, I feel like there's a cool like Renaissance and like throwback thing happening, you know, with like Zach Top and you know, like all these people, even our boy Jim McGuinn.
Yeah,
you know him.
We're having Jim in next week, I think. No,
just fucking shout out Jim, and he's got this cool like '80s thing going, you know, like throwback records. And I was like, you know what hasn't been touched on is like that, like Gary Stewart, Joe Ellie, fucking like rock honky tonk. It was like super big Texas thing. I'm not like a big Texas guy, but that the sonics of it, just like damn near rock and roll, but not rockabilly.
Yeah. It's a fine line.
Yeah. Rock and roll attitude to classic country music. And so like Gary Stewart's Out of Hand, of course. And then Joe Ellie's, I think it's just self-titled, Joe Ellie. But he's got that song, I Got My Hopes Up High. You ever hear that one?
No.
Listen, it's good.
Right, that's the reason I love doing this fucking show, is because there's so much cool music I get. Okay, I'm checking that out. Hell yeah. What, so you know, you've got the album at this point, the album, I can't talk right now. You've got the album at this point that you're focusing on, I'm sure. But when you're going through life with this stuff, do you sort of have a something that you're pointed at? Like, do you have like here's the next thing I want to be working towards? Or are you really just trying to be present in the moment with whatever it is that you're doing now?
I have to have a balance kind of on the point of what we're talking about. If I had like this is what I'm going after, it'd make it a lot harder for me and like more self-critical. So I always have goals, but definitely just like trying to make the moment the most magic. I would say my goal right now definitely is to tour and make a living off music, because I'm a construction worker right now, you know, and that's like cool and all, and I want to build my house one day and learning those skills, but like, you know, I've been doing this music thing more than half my life, and I want to, you know, do it full time for a bit before I can't. You know, and so that's the goal. And I'm gonna like do the whole front end stuff of sending all the emails and doing stuff like this. And
someone listen to this guy's record and you know, get it out there for some folks. That's awesome, dude. I'm excited to hear it, man. Seems like life is good.
Life is good, man.
Yeah, and we all need to be more Jimmy Buffett. I think that's really that's the lesson to take away from today's pod.
Absolutely,
dude.
That's the
more Jimmy Buffett
moral there. Is,
Jimmy Buffett yourself.
Yeah,
exactly.
Shit, this record won't do it for me. It's pretty devastating.
Well, we need that in the world too, dude. We need that in the world too. Thank you so much for doing this, man. This is awesome.
thank you for having me.
I'm
What a
stoked to hear
blast.
the songs too because they sounded great in here. It's always fun to like it's like a little surprise when they all get finished up. It's like, oh, nice. So thank you so much, dude. This was a blast.
Yeah,
this
thanks, dude.
is so
Hell
great.
yeah. Thanks you for having me.
Hell yeah, of course, man.
Come back and do it again
Oh
sometime.
yeah, seriously.